You treat the new hire differently because you heard they're a star performer. That one assumption just guaranteed they'll succeed while everyone else struggles. You're not even aware you're doing it. You give them better projects. You explain things more clearly. You overlook their mistakes and highlight their wins. Meanwhile, the person who started the same day with the same skills gets grunt work and minimal feedback. 6 months later, the star is thriving and the other person is average, and you think it proves you were right about who had potential. But you weren't measuring potential. You were creating the outcome you expected. This happens in every hiring decision, every classroom, every relationship, and every self-assessment you make. You believe something will happen, so you unconsciously behave in ways that make it happen. Then you use the result as proof you were right all along. The loop is invisible, and it's controlling way more of your life than you think. This is called the experimenter expectancy effect. Studies show that teachers who are told certain students are gifted see those students improve by up to 20 IQ points in a year, even when the students were chosen randomly. Your brain doesn't just predict the future. It manufactures it. When you expect something to be true, your behavior shifts in tiny unconscious ways that nudge reality toward that expectation. You're not being objective. You're being a sculptor. Every interaction is shaped by what you believe will happen. And here's the scary part. You never see yourself doing it. The teacher genuinely believes the gifted student is naturally smarter. The manager genuinely believes the star hire is more talented. You genuinely believe your predictions are observations, but they're interventions. Your expectations don't reflect reality. They create Italiano. Watch how this plays out when you're convinced a meeting will be awkward. You walk intense. Your body language is closed. You give short answers. You don't smile as much. The other person picks up on your energy and mirrors it back. The conversation feels stiff. You leave thinking you were right. It was awkward. But you made it awkward. Your expectation became a self-fulfilling prophecy. Or you believe your partner is pulling away, so you check their phone more. You ask where they've been. You read into every delayed text. They feel suffocated and actually do pull away. Now, you have proof you were right, except you weren't detecting distance. You were creating it. Or you're convinced you're bad at public speaking, so every time you present, your inner voice is screaming about how you're failing. Your hands shake. You rush through slides. You avoid eye contact. The audience feels uncomfortable. You bomb, and you tell yourself you were right all along. You're bad at this, but you're not bad at it. You're expecting to be bad, and that expectation is running the show. And here's what nobody tells you about this. Each time you confirm your expectation, you strengthen it. You expect the meeting to go badly. It does. Now that expectation has evidence. Next meeting, you expect it even more strongly. Your behavior gets worse. The outcome gets worse. The loop tightens. You're not just dealing with one bad prediction. You're building a system that guarantees your predictions come true. The expectation creates the behavior. The behavior creates the outcome. The outcome proves the expectation. Round and round. You're trapped in a cycle where you're both the scientist and the experiment. Except you don't know you're running the test. Your brain is running software from 10,000 years ago on today's problems. Most people think this is about self-sabotage, so they try to think more positively. They make affirmations, they visualize success. But that's like putting a motivational poster over a broken engine. The real issue isn't what you consciously believe. It's what you unconsciously expect. You can tell yourself you're confident while your body language screams insecurity. You can say you trust someone while treating them like a liar. Your conscious mind says one thing. Your expectations drive your behavior in the opposite direction. And behavior is what creates reality. Not tough. Not tough. Not wisest. Actions. And your actions are controlled by expectations you don't even know you have. This bias survives because it's invisible and self-confirming. Every time it works, it hides itself. You got the outcome you expected, so obviously you were just being realistic. Plus, admitting you do this feels like admitting you're not objective. It threatens your identity as someone who sees things clearly. And if you stopped, You'd have to face the possibility that you've been wrong about people, situations, and yourself for years. You'd have to revisit every confident prediction you made. Your brain would rather keep the familiar pattern than risk that kind of upheaval. So it protects the bias. It frames your expectations as insights instead of instructions. And that's exactly why most advice about this fails. People who break free from this don't stop having expectations. That's impossible. Your brain is a prediction machine. It has to form expectations to function. The difference is they've learned to expect better. Not in a fake positive thinking way, in a strategic way. They expect people to surprise them. They expect challenges to be learning opportunities. They expect conversations to go well. And because they expect it, they show up differently. They're open instead of defensive. They're curious instead of judging. They ask questions instead of confirming assumptions. Their expectations still shape reality, but now they're shaping it toward growth instead of limitation. So the next time you walk into that meeting convinced it'll be awkward, you'll know what's really happening. Your brain is writing the script before the scene even starts. Your expectations are programming your behavior. Your behavior is creating the outcome. But now, you can catch it. You can ask yourself what you're expecting and whether that expectation is helping or hurting. You're not trying to eliminate expectations. You're choosing them intentionally. And that's the shift. You're not being controlled by invisible predictions anymore. You're aware they exist. You can shape them. That changes everything. You started this video thinking your predictions were just observations. Now you know you're creating what you predict. That's not a small shift. That's realizing you've had way more control than you thought. Subscribe if you want more insights like this that actually make sense.